Are you tired of playing guessing games with your health? Mystery symptoms that come and go without any explanation? Well, in this eye-opening episode, I'm going to reveal why that bloating, fatigue, brain fog, or skin issue might actually be your body's SOS signal about hidden food sensitivities. And drawing from my own personal journey, overcoming ulcerative colitis naturally, I'll share the detective framework that helped myself and so many of my clients finally connect the dots between what they eat and how they feel. And if you've ever been told that everything looks normal, despite feeling anything but normal, then this episode is going to give you the investigative tools that you're probably missing. So tune in to discover why becoming your own food detective might be the game changer in your health journey needs. Hey friend, welcome to Gut Fix. Are you ready to finally get rid of those debilitating digestive symptoms? Do you catch yourself staying up late Googling things like, what can I eat? Or how do I stop a flare? Or maybe you're just lying awake wondering, how did this ever happen to me? I'm Wendy, and I've been exactly where you are, desperately searching for answers, but determined to find natural solutions. And like you, I was overwhelmed by all the conflicting information out there and unsure of what might really work for me. And so now in this podcast, I'm here to share with you what I've learned, how to listen to your body's signals, and uncover the common mistakes that might be standing in the way of your healing. So grab your favorite drink, pop in your earbuds, and let's dive into your health transformation together. Well, hey there, and welcome back to Gut Fix. I'm your host, Wendy Handy, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and gut health detective extraordinaire. If you're new here, I help busy professionals identify the hidden triggers behind their mysterious symptoms so that they can finally reclaim their energy, clarity, and joy. And today I want to kick off with a topic that's close to my heart and probably your daily experience if you're listening to the show. And we're talking about how to solve the mystery of your unexplained symptoms, and specifically how to become your own food detective. So, have you ever felt like your body is speaking a language that you just don't understand? And maybe you're experiencing fatigue that no amount of sleep ever seems to fix. Or your digestive issues that kind of come and go without any clear pattern. Maybe it's headaches, skin problems, or brain fog that are disrupting not only your work life, but your family life and your social life. So if you're nodding along, you're in the right place. Because today I want us all to put on our detective hats and learn how to decode the clues that your body has been leaving you all along. Before we dive in, I just want to share a bit of my own health mystery story. If you're not familiar with it. So back in 2008, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, which you all know as an IBD, an autoimmune condition that affects your digestive system. And my conventional doctors told me that I would need to be on pharmaceuticals for the rest of my life. But here's the thing. I've always been a little bit of a detective at heart, and something about that prognosis just didn't sit well with me. And it felt like we were just addressing symptoms without ever investigating what was causing those symptoms. So I drew a line in the sand and I decided to become my own health detective. And I started researching alternative approaches, also experimenting with dietary modifications, paying very close attention to how my body was responding to different foods. But, the journey wasn't really all that straightforward because there was plenty of false leads, dead ends, and sometimes I felt like I was taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. I eliminated foods based on what was popular and the advice that was out there, not my own personal data. And I started to keep, detailed food journals but I couldn't really make sense of what was happening because there was a lot of delayed reactions. I tried supplements that had worked for other people, and they may have worked for me. Some of them never worked, but they may have worked for me for a short period of time, but then they stopped. So eventually, through comprehensive testing that identified some of my specific food triggers, I achieved what many thought was impossible and still do think is impossible. And that's complete remission from any symptoms without any pharmaceuticals whatsoever. And that's a status that I've maintained for well over a decade now. This personal transformation wasn't just about resolving my symptoms, but it completely changed my professional path. And it led me to become certified as a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner so that I could help others also do the same thing, solve their own health mysteries. So let's talk about why food sensitivities are such a mystery and such a perfect mystery villain. Because unlike food allergies, which can cause immediate and often dramatic reactions, food sensitivities, they create delayed inflammatory responses. And these responses can occur like 72 hours after eating the triggering food. So imagine you're trying to solve a mystery where the crime and the evidence are separated by 3 whole days. That's exactly what makes food sensitivities so challenging to identify without using proper testing. And here's another twist to the plot. So these reactions aren't limited to your digestive system. Food triggers inflammation, which can often affect virtually every system and any system in your body, which is why the symptoms can sometimes very much seem unrelated. So, fatigue and brain fog, that could be inflammation that's affecting your brain and your energy production. Skin issues like eczema or unexplained rashes. Your skin is often the first place that inflammation becomes visible. If you experience joint pain that moves kind of around your body, that could be classic inflammatory response. Or if you have mood changes, anxiety, depression, inflammation affects your neurotransmitters as well. And if you have headaches or migraines that kind of come and go, often these can be tied to specific food triggers. So, this is a wide range of symptoms, and it's why so many people spend years going from doctor to doctor, treating each symptom separately without ever connecting the dots back to a food sensitivity. And so now you might be wondering, if food sensitivities are so common, why don't conventional medical approaches catch them? Well, there's a couple of different reasons for that. First, standard allergy testing only identifies immediate IgE mediated reactions. And that's what we typically will call food allergies. These are the reactions that can cause, very severe symptoms like anaphylaxis and other severe immediate responses. But food sensitivities involve different immune mechanisms. Primarily they're IgG, IgA, and cell-mediated responses. These aren't measured at all in a standard allergy panel. And then second, conventional medicine tends to specialize by body system. So they're not looking at a whole picture. So you go to see a dermatologist for your skin problem, or a neurologist for headaches and things like that, a gastroenterologist for your digestive problems. But rarely does anyone look at all these symptoms and say, hey, they might be connected through systemic inflammation triggered by foods. And then third, medical education typically includes very little training on nutrition. Let alone the complex relationship between food and inflammation that most doctors simply aren't equipped to investigate. And food sensitivities, even though they might suspect they might be involved. Then finally, our healthcare system is designed to manage symptoms rather than identify what's causing them. And so it's much quicker to prescribe a medication for, say, acid reflux. than it is to spend the time to investigate why that acid reflux is happening in the first place. So you need to become your own food detective. And so how do you start solving it? Well, I'm going to share some detective skills that can help you gather some of the preliminary evidence. So, clue number 1 is your timing patterns. So I want you to pay attention to when your symptoms occur. Do you wake up feeling fine, but crash maybe every afternoon? Do your symptoms appear on work days, but then on the weekends they tend to improve? Do you feel worse after you eat out at a restaurant or take home compared to when you cook at home? So these patterns can provide important clues about some of the potential triggers. And then clue number 2 is symptom clusters. And what I mean by that is if you have symptoms that are affecting multiple body systems that flare up together, there's a strong indication of systemic inflammation. And food sensitivities oftentimes are a common culprit. And then clue number 3, the addiction paradox. Here's a fascinating clue that many people miss. So sometimes we become almost addicted to the very foods that we're most sensitive to. And I found this to be true in my case. So if there are foods that you crave intensely or feel that you absolutely have to have it every single day, those might actually be causing you triggering inflammation. And then clue number 4, the clean slate test. So if you feel significantly better when you're eating very simple whole foods and worse when you return to your quote unquote normal diet, that's a strong indication that something in your regular diet is problematic. Clue number 5, family history. So while specific food sensitivities aren't usually inherited, the tendency toward immune reaction often runs in families. So if close relatives have autoimmune conditions, allergies, or any kind of known food sensitivities, you may be more susceptible. So now I want to be completely honest with you. While these clues can certainly help you start to gather evidence, there are significant limitations to your do-it-yourself food sensitivity detection, right? The biggest challenge is, like in my case, the delayed reaction time. So when your symptoms appear up to 72 hours after exposure or after eating the food, it's almost impossible to make a clear connection through just your food journaling or just being observant, right? Another complication is that we very rarely eat single ingredients. So most meals combine, dozens of potential triggers, and that makes it very difficult to identify the specific culprit. And then perhaps most frustrating is that many of these reactions are dose dependent and cumulative. So you might be able to eat a very small amount of a triggering food occasionally with no noticeable reaction. But when you eat it frequently or in large amounts, that pushes you over your inflammatory threshold. So this is why even the most detailed food journals and elimination diets can often yield inconsistent or even worse, confusing results. So you might eliminate a food, feel better for, a period of time, and then reintroduce it without any obvious reaction, only to have the symptoms return later when the food accumulates in your diet again. So this brings us to what I consider the most powerful tool in our food detective kit. And that is a comprehensive food sensitivity test. And again, unlike standard allergy tests, comprehensive food sensitivity tests, they measure for the delayed immune reactions to a very wide range of foods and food chemicals, food additives. Typically, you'll see anywhere from 100 to 176 different items. And these tests can identify reactions that would be nearly impossible to detect through the elimination diets or food journaling alone, right? So the testing process itself is pretty simple. It typically involves just a blood spot sample. It can be, through a finger prick, which you can do at home. And this sample is analyzed for immune reactions to, like I said, anywhere from 100 to 176 different foods, food additives, chemicals, all of that stuff. And you receive a very detailed report showing you your specific triggers. And what makes this approach so very powerful is that it eliminates all the guesswork. And instead of, randomly eliminating foods based on just generic advice out there, the common ones like the dairy, the soy, the gluten, all of those things, you're going to be making a very targeted dietary changes based on your unique biology. And I've seen this transform outcomes for so many of my clients who previously felt stuck in cycles of, symptom management or even fear of the food they're eating, right? And so within 3 weeks of adjusting, one of my clients, of her adjusting her diet based on the results that she got from her food sensitivity test, she noticed energy improvement, dramatically, her symptoms decreased, almost 70% just in the first 30 days. And the best part is that she was actually eating more, a more different variety of foods and varied diet than when she was trying to guess about what the triggers were. And so what's your next step in becoming a food detective? Well, here's a simple action that you can take this week. Start a symptom timing journal, if you will. And I want you to, but it's got a twist to it. So instead of trying to track everything that you eat, which that can be, super overwhelming, and people just, maybe we'll do it for a day, but then, it's just overwhelming. I want you to focus on recording when your symptoms occur. So just note the time of the day, the severity, and any patterns that come with that. After a week, review your notes, look for those patterns. So patterns like, do your symptoms appear at consistent times? Are they worse after certain activities or certain environments that you're in? And this timing information can provide very valuable clues about whether food sensitivities might be involved in your symptoms. And if you're ready to take your investigation to the next level, I'm going to be launching something very, very soon. And I want you to stay tuned for it. But there's going to be an opportunity for you to get a hold of one of these tests and also then become your own food detective, and along with my help. And you'll be able to find all the details about how the testing works and about what is actually going on for you and what might be the best benefits and the best protocol for you moving forward. So, as I wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with one thought. Your body isn't betraying you. It's trying to communicate something with you. Those mysterious symptoms, they're clues. They're not curses. And with the right detective skills and coupled with the tools, you can decode the messages that they're sending you and finally address these causes rather than just managing your symptoms. So if you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love for you to subscribe to Gut Fix and wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a review if you found this information helpful. Your support does help others, and it helps others become health detectives and find this show. So next week, I want to dive into beyond gluten and dairy. the surprising foods that might be causing your inflammation. You're not going to want to miss the food plot twists in that upcoming episode. And so until then, stay happy and stay healthy. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week. Hey friend, I hope today's episode brought you some real value. If it did, would you take just 30 seconds to share it with a friend who might be struggling to get her gut in check? And if you're feeling extra generous, leave me a review on Apple. It absolutely lights me up knowing that this podcast is making a difference for you. All right, it's time for me to grab my protein shake and get my gut happy. I'll see you back here next Tuesday for another episode of Gut Fix. And until then, stay happy and stay healthy.